Today on CCX Reviews, a review of Black Bullet, an anime where in the near future, humankind is pushed to the brink of extinction by a viral parasite. It's emotional, mysterious, and best of all, a completely unique plot that has never been seen before in anime ever. Oh wait. Well, fuck. Nowadays, watching a new anime is a gamble between a show that doesn't have a complete ending, or a show with a giant piece of shit ending, or if you're really lucky, that one show that actually has a complete fucking story for once in their goddamn fucking life. This is all amplified by 100 when the show is only 13 episodes or less. So suffice to say, it is really rare for me to watch a new anime, especially if it is 13 episodes long. Then along comes a show like Black Bullet, which is one of those shows that a bunch of people have been raving about and being like, bro. You have to watch this show. So I gave it a go. You start off with your main character named Rentaro, who bears a lot of similarity to Rin from Blue Exorcist, but anyways is a badass cop that's trying to keep Tokyo safe from monsters that are terrorizing it called Gastrias, which are parasites that use the human as a host before transforming them into giant fucking insects. While in his spare time picking fights with random strangers and chasing after or just beating up little girls. His partner's name is Inju, and she's just your average lolicon until you find out she actually has superhuman strength. And this is because she's a part of the Cursed Children. This is a really helpful power, except for when she's crying about how horrible her fucking life is, which is basically every fucking episode. The show itself starts out as a regular monster fighting show, where the main character and his partner have to go around beating monster after monster, while alluding to the fact that the real enemy in all of this is humankind. The other notable characters to talk about are Kisara, who is a badass sword fighter who can take on just about anybody with a single blow, but rarely does anything because all she really does in the show is just sit in her chair, walk around with her giant tits flying around the air, or complain about how Rentaro isn't even doing his goddamn job. And then there is Kageteon, which yes, I know I mispronounced the name, just read it on the bottom of the screen, who is your mysterious odd nemesis during the majority of this series, whose job is literally consistent of walking around like a fucking prick, killing a bunch of people like a fucking prick, and having a long awesome speech and then walking away like a fucking prick. There are a couple other characters I could mention, but they really don't help out developing the plot in any which way whatsoever. Now of course there's no way I could go through this review without mentioning the Cursed Children, which are children that got infected with a gastro virus while in the womb of their mothers. Also, they can only be girls, which I assume is just because the writers wanted more lolicons inside the show, because that's the only way they could show borderline child pornography / abuse on TV, is by making them half insects because nobody gives a shit about insects. I also need to mention the insane amount of plot holes and useless information this show has. This becomes apparent when early on in the series, when Inju decides to run away from home, only to be found very beginning of the next episode. As the only reason they show this is to show how there is a place where an old man is living alone with a bunch of little girls and no one finds it weird. As if it is completely normal for an old man to keep a bunch of little girls living underground. On a side note here, how is it normal how the government just hands out little girls to grown men like fucking Pokemon cards? What were they talking about again? Oh yeah, plot holes. This show does a very good job of showing or telling you information that sounds very important, but then in the long run has no actual application to the story whatsoever. For example, during episode 1, they tell you the Cursed Children are very rare, but then by the end of the episode, they show you an entire island that is basically full of them. There are so many plot holes in this series, you could probably make a whole second season just to try to explain all of them, and still probably get nowhere. Now you might be surprised, but I actually enjoy this anime quite a bit. The plot is average, but it does a very good job of showing you the internal struggles of humanity while being under attack by giant monsters. Characters are pretty one-dimensional and can usually be summed up with just one word. Rich girl, crybaby, douchebag, psycho, and pedophile. But have a deep story and get through a lot of material in just 13 episodes. It makes you feel a real connection to the main character by the end of it all. The animation as well looks phenomenal. It becomes apparent especially during the second half of any fight scene, where your protagonist does that cliche anime thing where he realizes how to really defeat the enemy halfway through the fight, and there's rarely really any drops in animation. Music is also phenomenal and does a very good job of amplifying the mood of whatever is happening on screen, especially in scenes of emotion which are far the best part of this anime, even though they do happen way too often. Overall though, Black Bullet is a fun show that doesn't know what it is all the time, but is packed full with enough information to make it feel like it was a complete show. and it made me content with the possibility of there not being a second season. So if you ever have any spare time and want to watch a show about a kid and an adult beat up monsters and protect Tokyo, then you can watch this. Currently the show I believe is only on Crunchyroll for legal streaming, but it's free, so go right ahead. Just be ready for the insane amount of child pornography jokes inside this show. Final rating, 7 out of 10.